Katie Talati. She thinks traditional finance institutions are at risk of missing out on a once-in-a-decade trade. She's referring to, you may have guessed it, Ether, because of that much-anticipated upgrade known as the merge. Welcome, Katie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
All our pleasure. I just want you to first explain your thesis. Like you said it very clearly in an article that has been, made very clear that on CoinDesk, in fact, that you think Ether is woefully underpriced. Just explain that thesis.
Sure. So there's kind of two components to this. The first is that Ethereum is really going through what I would consider like the most major upgrade to date, but also probably the most major upgrade that any large layer one blockchain has undergone. So just from a technological standpoint, this is pretty, as advanced as it gets and as significant, I would say, as it gets. The second piece is that its token model essentially is going to be changing from a mining, as the consensus is changing from proof of work to proof of stake. We're seeing the Ethereum emissions go from mining rewards, which I believe are about 13,000 a day, to staking rewards, which are going to be much lower at around 2,000, 3,000 a day, depending on the inflation rate. In addition to that, in addition to that, fees are also going to be given out to stakers. So what you're, in theory, potentially going to have is a much lower emission of Ethereum, but then also the potential for anybody who is a validator or a node on the network to earn part of that staking yield.
I just want to refer to Michael Saylor, who has questioned the technical and ethical soundness of Ethereum. By technical soundness, he says he needs to see the protocol function for about 5 years, because if you're hard forking and changing it every time you do a big upgrade, you introduce new attack surfaces. By ethically sound, he means nobody could change the protocol, which includes Vitalik or anyone at the Ethereum Foundation. He wants to know whether anyone can actually change the protocol. Have you taken this argument into consideration when you say that, the Ethereum merge is something that maybe a lot of people are missing out on?
Not necessarily. I mean, I'll be honest, I'll touch on the second point. Not anybody at the Ethereum Foundation or any one person can control the code base for Ethereum. It's very similar to Bitcoin, which is that it's actually really decentralized. And a lot of the developers that are working on Ethereum, some of them are employed by Ethereum Foundation, some of them are independent contributors. And it's actually got to be a consensus decision, which is why it's taken so long to make this upgrade, because they have to get like 100 people to agree on it. And if you've ever participated in an all-core dev call or listened to them, you've got like people from every continent speaking several different languages trying to coordinate. It takes a long time. So I would say that's the first point. From a security standpoint, I understand that that's how Michael Saylor kind of views, that's his view on how he, will say this is a secure protocol or not. But at the end of the day, the Ethereum devs have taken such care and so much time with preparing for this upgrade in terms of doing all the test nets, in terms of getting all the testing done, and really ensuring that it's been a smooth process. And so as much as possible, they are doing their best to eliminate any security issues that could come up.
Yeah, Michael Saylor's opinions on ETH are about as old as the pictures in that montage we just scrolled by. But anyway, how are you valuing ETH? You say it's undervalued right now, but compared to what? I mean, what dictates, or in your mind, how is it able to be priced at something higher than $1,800 per ETH? Where are you coming up with this model to price it?
Sure. So I mean, right now, like all the models for Ethereum are roughly estimates, because we don't actually know what user behavior is going to be like after the merge. But a lot of the pricing is, like I said, kind of based on the fact that you're going to have less daily emissions, that you're going to have fees flowing to node operators and stakers instead of being partially burned, partially given to miners. And that is going to, kind of drive the value in that sense, is that, Ethereum essentially will have a yield.
It'll have a yield, but I guess that my question here is this, is that usually when you price equities, for instance, you're pricing it either based on its breakup value, its future cash flow, its its yield, its dividend yield. There are different ways to model an equity and get a price based on what we expect the future prices to be, or what you can get if you break up the company. But with ETH, it's different. So how is it getting priced right now, in your opinion, that it should be considered underpriced, or relative to where it is currently? Or in other words, how can people be sure that it is, in fact, undervalued? What is your comparison here? I mean, are you comparing it to Bitcoin? Are you comparing it to other currencies? Are you comparing it to equities even? Or where is it coming from?
Sure. I mean, well, Ethereum is really hard to price in general, just because it does act like a currency. And so, you're always going to have that problem. I don't necessarily, share price targets, but specifically for Ethereum, we're looking at how has it performed in the past? How has it performed, compared to Bitcoin, compared to other layer ones that maybe have less activity happening on it. If you look at Ethereum just based on the amount of TVL, the amount of users, active addresses. Those are kind of like the fundamental KPIs that we're looking at to determine, if something is undervalued based on the activity that it has on it. Post-merge, we're hoping to be able to have a better valuation for it, just because, like I said, we'll have actual data on what the yields look like. Right now, they're all just estimates.
All right.
And in your opinion,
thank you so much.
I'm sorry,
ahead,
in your opinion, those estimates are underpricing it right now, correct?
Not necessarily. The estimates I've seen are they're a range. And so I've seen, I think, anywhere from 7 to 12% yield. That's kind of a big range. So I think we're just gonna have to wait until a little after the merge to have some of the initial data to be able to kind of just run a simulation of what we think it is. It also depends on usage. If usage remains kind of lower, like it has the last couple months, then, the yield is going to be a lot lower for stakers. However, if you start to see elevated usage, gas fees go up, then you're going to start to see that yield increase.